What's up, Internet? This is Ramblin' Josh, and you're watching another episode of Let's Play Fire Emblem. Today we have Chapter 22, Living Legend. Now this mission... Oh man, this mission. It's easily one of the most iconic, and also one of the most frustrating missions in the entire game. We'll see why soon enough. Suffice it to say that, as far as I've seen at least, pretty much every Fire Emblem game has at least one mission that takes place in the desert. Such as Living Legend. And deserts tend to be troublesome. If you thought trees and rain were bad, it's not like Hector is mean, he's just kind of unapproachable. Ah! Those pretty vague instructions. Could he really not tell us anything more? Why not? What's strange? His arm? Well, she's not normal, but I mean, she's just kind of normal plus. Who are these fellows? Well, fellow and not fellow. Lord Pent? Is this structure somewhere in the desert? How do you know all this? That's what you're worried about? Athos, huh? How do you... Who are these people? What are they doing here? Where is here? Hmm. Okay. Yes? Hmm. We will certainly try. So, these two are an interesting archetype known as the Bandit Twins. I believe there's been a pair of bandits that appeared in every Fire Emblem game since the 6th one, which is the one before this one. Basically, it's a pair of bandits that look roughly like this. They have like not quite mohawks, but they have like the striped hair and stuff. And they always wield axes, and they're usually looking for treasure in the desert or some such. They're an interesting pair. So, I guess this is Pent, and he seems to have found what he's looking for. He's so bad, Jasmine. Which is a very masculine name. I guess he is the one in the pink. I guess this might be a little bit more purpley? I don't know. I guess I'm looking... His hair looks purple, but I guess his clothes are more red. So, 11 units to choose from in this mission. We do want Matthew. Definitely want Florina. We can do without Oswin. We definitely want Sarah. I think I might trade Hector for Ninian. I think that's about it. Manage the equipment. Don't need any of that stuff on Heath. Let's see here. Kind of wish I'd gotten a chance to promote Rebecca last mission, but it's not the end of the world. Let's replace her Iron Lance for now. Do I want to give her the short spear? Maybe even just the straight up the spear. I think I'll go with the short spear. It's a nice kind of in between. It's a compromise. Where's Hector at? Let's have Dart reclaim his hand axe. I guess I have more than one hand axe, but still. I don't especially need lockpicks in this mission. I don't really have to do a whole lot of anything with Matthew. He's just here for other purposes. So, I'm gonna give him the Nosferatu tome for this mission. Sarah, I guess I might as well give her another heal staff. Ninian's all good. Get rid of that javelin, even though I'm not using Oswin. Okay. So, let's take a look at the map. So what I want to do is... I think archers move about the desert decently well. Let's put Hector up there. And Dart. Let's put Dart over there. That seems pretty good. So my goal for this mission is my kind of strategy is to maximize my mobility, basically. And also maximize how much experience I can get, which is kind of always a goal, but we'll talk about that more in a little bit. So, let's get things started here. So, there's a whole bunch of stuff going on in this mission, which is kind of the biggest thing that contributes to this being such a tricky mission, as I was kind of talking about earlier. So, Canis points out there's a whole bunch of mystical artifacts or whatever hidden in this desert, which is one of the things we're going to have to keep an eye on. Now, rather than kind of go over all the troubles in this mission right off the bat, what I'm going to do is just kind of get things started here. And I will not kill that guy, apparently. Let's attack him with Rebecca, then. That's a bit better. I'll kind of talk about things as I go a little bit, because if I just talk about everything up front, there's a lot to talk about in this mission. So the first thing that we have to be mindful of, though, is the fact that Pent is sitting out here all on his own. So we have to try and kind of draw as many people away from Pent as we can. The best way to do that is, on one hand, if we take Canis, we can kill off this archer here. So while this is going on, I guess one of the biggest things that makes this mission hard is just the fact that it's a desert. And as you might imagine, deserts restrict a character's mobility quite a bit. Our characters right now don't really feel the effect of it too much, just because we're kind of on the edge of the desert here. See this? It says in the bottom left here, that this is sand and plain, whereas this here is desert. So if we look at, say, Elliewood, I guess we just don't have a good example. So let's look at one of the other enemies instead. This bandit, you can see, he can only move 2 spots. Archers, I guess, don't fare any better. But magic users, they're uninhibited by sand, which is why I made a point of leveling Canis up so much. Florian is also pretty handy here, because obviously she can fly, so she doesn't really feel the effects. That's a kind of useless critical hit. She was going to kill him anyways, but I guess I'm not going to complain. So, we can kill those 2 guys. This bandit will be drawn to attack Florina. And the other thing we can do is that some of these guys, I guess this bishop and this mage, if we get a character to this spot, I think? Is it the one 2 under Rebecca? 3 under Rebecca. If we sit a character here, then we can draw those 2 characters out towards us instead of towards Pent. So the best way to do this, I think, would be to position Dart right there and give him the hand axe. Of course, I do have to be a little careful using Dart because he's pretty close to level 20, and I don't have his promotion item yet. Also, there are these 2 bosses. They're exceptionally strong. Yeah, this guy has 30 attack and he's wielding a killer axe, so he's got a 36 in crit as well. This guy's a little less beefy, but he's got a hand axe, so he can attack a little bit farther away, which actually counts for a lot in the desert. Let's see, that's going from 3 to 4 spaces, that's a 33% increase in range, something like that. I don't math good. So that's quite a lot. There's also treasures, as Canis pointed out, and that's the main reason that Matthew is here. Also, if you notice, this guy has a guiding ring, so we're going to want to steal that from him if we can. Also, I want to send Elliewood down here. Sarah I could send out down this way, because she is a caster, so that's kind of a good way for her to go, but I think Canis is going to be fine. And I gave him the Nosferatu tome, so he shouldn't need healing. So I'm going to stick Sarah up here instead to focus on keeping people healed up. Hector can take out this knight. So we've gone over 3 of the reasons why this mission is kind of annoying. We have the desert, we have Pent, and we have the items that we have to find. I guess more to the point when it comes to Pent is, like, he's out here on his own, but he's not really in any danger of dying, as we will very clearly see soon enough. The danger here is the fact that he's actually extremely strong. And any enemy that he kills is an enemy that we are not getting experience for. So that's what the issue here is. A little bit of strength for a Raven. So we want to make sure to have Ninian dance every single turn, even if it's not for actually going to accomplish a whole lot of anything. I'll get to that in a moment. So, like I said, we want to get to Pent, but it's not because he's going to die, it's because he's going to steal all of our experience. And the reason that that is bad is because this mission actually has a guidance chapter. Like, normally we would want to get as much of the experience for ourselves as possible, but it's even more important in this mission. Because the way that you unlock that guidance chapter is actually you have to obtain more than 700 experience in this mission. And obviously, the more kills that Pent gets, the harder it is to achieve that feat. So we have to get there as quickly as possible to prevent him from getting as much kills as possible. Or as many kills, rather. Unfortunately, on this first turn, there's only so much you can do, so it's guaranteed that Pent's going to get like 3 or 4 kills. Wow, you didn't really... You really did not hit either time? What's wrong with you? But we did about as well as we could. We killed two archers, or an archer and a mage. We drew one mage toward us with Florina, that's her name. And we drew a bishop and a mage toward us with Dart. So all told... Okay, well here's the mage with Florina, but... All told, that's about the best you can possibly do in that regard. So, as annoying as it is that Penta's doing all this stuff on his own, there's unfortunately not a whole lot you can do about it. What is this? A mysterious stranger comes out of the sand. So, you may have noticed that Athos mentioned something about a fellow named Hawkeye, and that is who this is. So he's actually recruitable if we... Well, I can't quite reach him, but if we talk to him with our main lord, which in our case is Eliwood, but if you are playing on Hector's mode, it would be Hector. If you talk to him with that character, you will recruit Hawkeye, who is a very good character, actually. His stats are quite strong, and he's actually pretty darn good long-term, too. But we're not going to be using him, but you definitely can. He is actually a berserker, which is actually a promoted version of the pirate, if you were not aware of that fact. And you actually have to recruit Hawkeye as well if you want to do the guidance chapter for this mission. So, how shall I do this? I believe I want to kill this mage with Canis, actually, because... Okay, well I can't do that. Well, I would like to kill him with Canis, because Canis is a lower level, which means that killing the mage with him is going to give me more experience overall. Which, because of the guide and chapter requirements, is something we actually have to worry about. It's also why, up here, I'm going to focus on using Lyn and, more to the point, Raven over Hector, Rebecca, and Sarah. I'll use them if I have to, but I will not use them if I don't have to. That's also why we need to use Ninian as much as we can, because dancing experience is free. If push comes to shove, you can basically just guarantee that you get the guide and chapter by using Ninian. Unfortunately, because we don't have Priscilla on our current team, Sarah doesn't get quite as much experience from healing, so you can't abuse that fact, but it's not really worth using Priscilla because she's a mounted unit, and mounted units are especially bad in the desert, whereas Sarah has pretty much free mobility. So anyways, I was going to outline a trick for this mission, if you're finding it hard to get the requisite amount of experience, is there's no real rush in this mission once you reach Pent, which I guess we might as well just do that now. The best way to deal with Pent is to just fly Florina over here and rescue him. She's kind of useless while she's carrying him, but while she's carrying him, Pent is not doing anything. So her skill and speed are reduced by half, but we're just going to pick him up and drop him off over here somewhere. So anyways, now that we've rescued Pent, there's no more rush. It's all about maximizing experience and being careful not to get annihilated by these guys. So the best way to maximize your experience in this situation, if you need it, is to surround an archer with melee units on all four sides. Or I guess anyone works. The archer will not be able to attack them because they're standing right next to him, and you can just do whatever you want for as long as you need, which in your case will probably be dancing with Ninian until the cows come home, or some other phrase that makes more sense than that. So, okay. Matthew's already gone. You can do a similar strategy if you need to, using any unit, really, as long as you surround them with characters who have no weapons, which obviously takes a lot more work to set up, but also does work. So let's actually play for Dart here. Give him another turn. Get him up here a little bit. And now we're starting to feel the effects of the desert a little bit, because we have to kind of charge over to the side here. Things get pretty dicey up at the top of the map here, because that's probably the direction that you want to send the bulk of your troops, but at the same time... Am I going to kill this guy? Yeah, kill him even with half skill and speed. The issue is just that up at the top of the map, like, we have to go push through the desert, and this is where the bulk of the enemies come from, is around this area. But we have both of these bosses to contend with. So once we get over here to this guy, he's kind of covering this area, and we have to be really careful about dealing with him. So things get a little bit dicey around that point. Canis, on the other hand, is just going to kind of push down this way and do whatever the hell he wants. So I'm fairly certain that if I drop Pent here, he is not going to do anything, because there will be no bad guys in his path. I'll talk to Hawkeye with Eliwood here. Guests need not fight, huh? But who are we guests of? There is a house here that we want to go to with Hawkeye, not because it's important, but because it's kind of amusing. Now then, Canis mentioned artifacts hidden in the sand. One of such is the Ocean Seal. So the Ocean Seal is a promotion item specifically for pirates. So that is what we need for Dart, and the plan here is I'm going to have Florina ferry it up there for him. So what's the best way to do this? I guess for now I should kill this guy. Raven is still my lowest level. Well, I think Canis is lower level than him, but he's my lowest level character who's like on the front lines. So he's gonna get a bit of a workout here. Now then. Gotta be careful about this guy's range, to be sure. Ninian can move pretty well through the desert too, it's... maybe? No, she's just as restricted as everyone else, actually. That's just that we're on the edge of the desert, so it's kind of hard to gauge that. What I'm gonna do is dance for Dart. He may be pretty close to leveling, but he's also the best candidate for dealing with the ranged characters up here right now. Our only other options are Rebecca and Sarah, who are both promoted units, so they're going to get a little bit less experience than he would. So that's why we're doing that. Being careful to skirt this guy's range here. Hector's not really going to do much, she's just going to kind of sit in the back here. I guess I might as well move Lynn up. I would like to move Rebecca up, but I can't really. So back to the desert artifacts things. So the way they work is just that scattered throughout the desert are, as we have determined, artifacts. There was the Ocean Seal was one here. There's an item here. There's an item, or a couple items around here. A couple more items around here. And the way they work is that anytime a character steps on one of the positions where you can find that item, they have a chance to find it. So specifically, the Ocean Seal could be located in one of these 4 squares here. Now, a normal character has a 1 in 11 chance of finding the item. Who is this Fae character? Why is there a house here? Buried near the bones, huh? Is that so? Ha ha ha, that's mildly amusing. So, as she says, there are 2 items buried near this bone pile, and there are 2 items buried near this bone pile. So we're gonna have to mess with that later. I wish I could just directly trade to Florina. I could probably do that, though, if I go like this. There we go. That way Florina can use her turn to just fly straight up here. Cool. That works out pretty well, actually. So like I said, when it comes to finding those items, a normal character has a 1 in 11 chance to find the item in question. However, a thief, such as Matthew, has a 100% chance to find the item. And that is why... Well, that and stealing from Jasmine down there is why Matthew is here. I mean, I guess it really shouldn't be a surprise. Procuring loot is basically the only function a thief has at this point, but... Well, let's move Raven up 1, move Lynn up 1. I can heal Florina here with Sarah for a measly 5 experience. Move Rebecca up a little bit, and I might as well move Hector up too. So as you can see, we've reached a little bit of a deadlock here. We're just sitting on the edge of this guy's range, and if I haven't mentioned it yet, these bosses, they actually will move. If a character enters their range, they will move and seek you out. Well, they won't, like, continue. I guess seeking you out is a bad way of putting it. They will move to attack you if they can. So, Canis should be able to double attack this guy. So, he's no issue to kill, and that was actually a critical hit. You can tell because he was kind of flashy beforehand. What level is he at? I guess I'm not going to have a chance to check quite yet. Nice little dodge. Okay, well that was a less nice dodge. I mean, I guess it was an equally nice dodge. I'm just less happy that it happened. You're really only doing 5 damage with the Lunatome? How is that possible? Well, whatever. Took a little bit of damage on Canis, but he should be fine. Lots of experience. And your Lunatome is now mine. So, like we said, Pent is just kind of sitting around chilling now that there's no enemies in his direct path. So he's almost level 17. Can I double attack this guy? I cannot. So, in that case, let's go for the Nosferatu tome. It's a little bit of a waste, but it's going to maximize his survivability against an enemy who's probably pretty tricky. Like, Wyvern Riders are pretty beefy, so that he might be able to do a pretty decent amount of damage to Canis. Question now is Raven more capable of killing this guy than Lyn? I mean, I know that he is, but it's like, can he kill him now? And the answer is that yes, he can. Thanks to the Steel Sword. And a level up for him too. So he is now equal to Lyn in level. And that was a nice level up. Strength and defense. And resistance. He's lacking a little bit on defense and resistance, so it's nice to get a little bit of it. Move Rebecca down here, and the reason I'm doing that is because I would like to try and weaken up this boss with the longbow. And unfortunately, using the longbow is pretty much the only way to reliably do that. Hopefully nobody attacks her next turn because she's level 20 now. For now though, heal up Raven. So the issue with these bosses is the fact that because of the way the desert works, it's really hard to approach them without having them come at you first. Like, especially given that there's this little ridge here that we have to move around. Like Raven, he could move out here, but he couldn't reach the boss. Dart could move out here, but he couldn't reach the boss. I could reach him with a magic user, but he's actually got a pretty good amount of resistance. That 9 resistance combined with 47 health means that I'm not going to kill him in a single engagement. It's just not going to happen. So the best way to do it is to weaken him up with the longbow. And that is what I'm doing. So there. So Hawkeye and Elliewood have nothing left to do, but Matthew, I need to have him continue searching for treasure. That hurt. Unfortunately, I'm probably only going to be healing 3 with the Nosferatu Tome. Yeah. But 22 HP is plenty. Ouchie. So... Fortunately, dealing with stuff down here is a lot easier than dealing with stuff up in the north. There is an item here, so I might as well... There's going to be some reinforcements popping out here. But there's an item in this spot here, so I might as well try and get that before Matthew arrives. Don't have anything better to do. Now, up here. Let's do this. Maybe rather than attack, I'll just wait and let him attack me. I'm just trying to think what's the best way to maximize experience without going over level 20. Rebecca did not promote yet, so let's do that. But let's move over here first. Well, little Rebecca is now a sniper. So that should give her a nice little stat boost as well. Wow. Plus 3 strength. That's pretty impressive. 8 defense, 8 resistance as well now, too. And she's at 20 speed. So she didn't cap her speed before promoting, but she is at 20 now, so yay for that. So what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to position my, well, basically Lynn and Raven in positions, well, I guess just Lynn. I'm trying to position my melee characters in positions to intercept this Wyvern Rider here. We'll see how all that goes down later. I'm trying not to do too much with Florina, just because she doesn't get as much experience as other characters, but... yeah. Once we deal with this kind of wave of enemies, then the worst of dealing with the bad guys is over. Or, not the bad guys, but like the fodder. And it's pretty much down to just finding the treasures and killing the bosses. And they're all going for Lynn, okay. Well, you're gonna die. And I'm perfectly okay with that. Lynn, I haven't actually used her a whole lot since I re-recruited her, so... wow, she really only has 4 defense? Okay, there's a little bit more reinforcements. Continue moving Matthew out. Actually, what I think I might do with Florina... can she move that far? She can. I might as well use her to ferry Matthew around to all the treasure. That might be a good way of speeding things up a tad. So, yeah, I can double attack this guy with Flux. And there are no more Wyvern Riders left, so I don't really have to worry about any big hits coming in, because obviously these guys are not doing an especially large amount of damage to Canis. So, after this mission, he is going to be a pretty reasonable fighter. Of course, his stats are still not great, but they're a little bit better. So, I can move up one spot here. Luna's level 18 and Raven is level 17. So what I think I'll do now is attack this guy with the longbow again? No, actually I'm not gonna do that. The reason being, this attack has a 22% crit chance, so if I were to attack him with the longbow right now, there's a good chance that it would kill him. And I don't especially want to do that yet. But what I will do is shuffle my characters about a little bit. While Lynn is sitting here, I might as well heal her up. Yay! Piddly amounts of experience. Give Raven another turn. If I can finagle it, I would like Raven to be the one who kills the boss. The boss is really, in a lot of ways, actually, I should not have Raven kill this guy, because if he's standing there, the boss can actually reach that spot. The only reason it's not red now is because the mage is actually standing here already. Okay. That was almost bad. Okay. So, if I kill this guy, I'm pretty sure that should take Dart up to about halfway. So, assuming this archer is going to attack him next turn, he's probably going to waste a little bit of experience there. Like, he's probably not going to get as much as he could, but he is still going to be getting 20, which is a decent amount. Wow, I didn't one-shot him. But he can now promote. Of course, as I keep saying, he could promote earlier, but... And it just occurred to me, I was like, oh, he didn't get any strength, but his strength was kind of maxed out, so yeah, he did not get any strength. So promote him. And he is now a Berserker. Really? Only 1 strength from that promotion? Wow, plus 3 Constitution. That's actually pretty impressive. That brings him up to 13. He can wield he can almost wield a steel axe without penalty. So if you thought Dart was awesome before, well, you were right, but he's more awesome now. So I think I'm actually going to have him stay there to intercept the shamans that are doubtlessly going to be coming towards me. Canis is going to kill some more fools down here. And we are just about done with this mission, honestly. Shaman duels are so annoying! So he's almost level 18? Yeah. So if we drop... Oh, I can't just drop him on the same turn. That's kind of annoying. Okay, well we can squeeze a little bit of experience out by dancing for Sarah, and then having her heal Rebecca as well. Like I said, this whole healing for experience thing would work a lot better if it was Priscilla, but Ninian leveled up at some point. I realized that, but I forgot that that gives her HP that can be healed. She's level 2, right? I wonder if it wouldn't be better to use Dart to weaken up the boss at this point. So, only 22 experience, but at the same time, he is lower level than both Sarah and Rebecca, so he's probably getting slightly more experience than they would. Ooh. He can move 3 squares in the desert? It's not bad. In fact, if I wanted to, I could probably have him move over to this side. But I don't especially want to. Okay, well, let's drop Matthew here, I guess. I actually just didn't really accomplish all that much by moving him over there, because like, apparently you can't just find stuff by dropping. So the whole ferrying plan didn't work out too well. What I'm actually going to do at this point is start moving Raven. Should I step there? I'm pretty sure this guy's range doesn't extend that high. Yeah. I want to move Raven away from Rebecca, as strange as that may sound. I mentioned earlier how Rebecca has a high crit chance against that boss that I want her to weaken up a little bit. So that brings her crit down to 17. She has a B with both Dart and Raven, so hopefully if I move both Dart and Raven away, her crit should be low enough that I can reasonably weaken this guy up with the longbow without risking killing him. Whether that will actually end up being the case, I guess we'll find out. More shamans for Canis to consume. I don't know why he's consuming them, I just decided that in my mind, apparently. You know, now that I look at the shaman model, the little, like, triangle thing on their chest is a little weird. I'm not sure why it's there. A little bit of magic. That's handy. Okay, so what I think I will do is... Well, can Ninian reach? No. So let's have Dart move back this way then. I guess the issue with moving Raven away is that I would like Raven to be the one to kill this boss, but he can't be present to weaken him up, so that's going to make things take a little bit longer. So that should be well outside of the range. So that should be fine. 7% isn't especially high. And unfortunately, somehow it's unfortunate that I'm double attacking someone, but that means that I can't weaken him up anymore because, well, that would bring him below 0, and that's kind of where being dead lies. I can weaken him up with Sarah, though. So I might do that. But for now, move Raven back a little bit. Have Canis take out this fellow. The last of the bandits. If you need someone to surround, he's a decent choice because he has a hammer, which has a pretty low durability. So if you surround him with units, you're probably going to want healer support, but you can break his weapon without too much difficulty. Can I find the item here? I don't think so. Well, there is the item in this vicinity. It is a body ring, which is a very rare item. It increases a character's constitution, as the item description said. So I might as well sit here. There's an item in this spot here, and an item in this spot here. So I will try and uncover those before Matthew arrives, because why not? So the body ring is a very good find because a lot of people suffer from having low constitution. I described previously what constitution actually does. Basically, if we take a look at Dart, because we were comparing it earlier, each weapon has a weight. And that weight determines how heavy the weapon is, but how hard it is to wield. So this steel axe has a weight of 15, whereas Dart has a constitution of 13, so using that axe would give him a speed penalty of 2 in battle. So increasing your constitution makes it easier to wield heavier weapons, which is a very handy thing to do. So, the body ring is the only way to increase a character's constitution, aside from a lot of people gain constitution from promoting. So, getting that body ring it's a very handy item, basically, is what I'm trying to say here. Might as well continue checking out these areas. I'm not entirely sure who I want to give the body ring to at this point. It may actually just be Canis. Because dark magic tomes tend to be pretty heavy, and his speed tends to be pretty low. And I've said before that if Canis ever gets the ability to use to like double attack with those special dark magic tomes, he's an absolute beast. So that might be what I aim towards, but I'm not sure yet. Now I want to see if Raven can actually kill this guy. With the steel sword, he has 22 attack. This guy has 11 defense, so I would be doing 11. So he has 12 speed, so Raven has 18. The steel sword has a weight of 10. He has a constitution of 8, so he should be able to kill this guy. So the best way to have him do that is to move him into the guy's range and then dance to give him another turn so that he actually can bridge the distance to the boss before, yeah, things and stuff. If I don't kill him, though, this could be very bad. Well, he did hit me, which he had a pretty low chance of doing, but he did not critical attack me, which is something that could very well have happened, being as he was carrying a killer axe. No strength. A little bit of luck and a little bit of defense is certainly appreciated, though. And I guess I always kind of seem to undervalue the effect that increasing a character's HP has, but increasing HP can go a long way, so I guess maybe I should show a little bit more appreciation for HP growth. So that leaves us with a single enemy. And he is the hardest one, because of his hand axe. So, just kind of outline his range a little bit here. I just find this, doing that makes it a lot easier to kind of visualize how far the enemy can actually attack. The thing about these bosses is it really feels like they're kind of designed with the intent of Pent being the one that kills them. But having Pent kill them is kind of really bad if you want to get the guide chapter. So anyways, this is Phila's Might, which is another ring for Ninian. Unlike Nini's Grace, though, it buffs a character's defense instead of their... Nini's Grace buffs their defense, whereas Phila's Might increases their attack power. So, just got a little bit of posturing here to find the last few items on the map here. Then I have to steal from the boss, and then I have to kill the boss. I think that's the edge of his range. No, it's one over. Okay. So, in this spot, we find an Eclipse Tome, which is kind of like a bolting tome for shamans, except it has an exceptionally low hit chance, but if it does hit, it does half of the enemy's health. Actually, there's a not ridiculous chance that you could actually double attack with this too. 20 weight or 12 weight is not... It's high, but it's not like crazy high like bolting. But anyways, it's an interesting tome, but we're probably not going to end up using it. I guess we might end up using it. It's just not very reliable. And reliability is something that counts for a lot to me. So, continue getting a little bit of experience for Ninian here. I guess if you, for whatever reason, got Niles and or Ninian up to level 20 already, then it would be kind of hard to abuse Ninian for experience in this fight. But I got Ninian to a high level, but not like a ridiculous level, so I could basically get as much experience as I want out of her. Although I'm fairly confident that I managed to get the... Or I might not have already gotten it, but that I will manage to get the requisite amount of experience for this mission. Raven leveled up twice, I believe. Canis leveled up twice. Ninian leveled up once. Lyn leveled up once. Dart leveled up once. Of course, a lot of these people were at, like... They had partial levels going into this mission, so it's not like each of those characters got 100 experience, but... Yeah. So that would be the range of his attack that way. Of course, actually killing these bosses with your own characters does a lot in terms of finding or getting enough experience to get the Guiding Chapter. So this is the Light Brand, which is a really interesting sword. It has a range of 1 to 2. However, the way it functions is a little bit interesting. If you attack from the directly adjacent to an enemy, then it functions like a normal sword would. But if you're attacking from 2 squares away, it works a little bit more like magic. So that means 2 things. The first is that it only adds half of your strength to the attack, rather than all of it. Now, the other thing is that when you're attacking the opponent, the damage is compared against their resistance rather than against their defense. So that will certainly, probably, come in handy at some point or another. So... If I'm totally honest, I'm not 100% sure how I'm going to approach this boss yet. I'm going to have to mull it over a little bit. But for now, grab this last item. We get a Hero's Crest, which we don't need, but it is another Hero's Crest. So now what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to try and finish off a little bit more supports and plan out my strategy and kind of position myself in a spot where I can kind of execute that strategy for dealing with this last boss. So I'm going to do all that and see you back here in just a moment. Okay, so that didn't quite take as long as I expected, and a big part of the reason for that is just because it occurs to me that I actually don't have that much left to do in terms of supports. I can do Dart and Rebecca, and I can do Raven and Priscilla, but Priscilla is not here. I've got a support to do for Canis as well, but I don't have the other character yet. Basically, there's just not a whole lot left of it to do. Which is actually kind of nice, because it's kind of annoying trying to make a point of going out of my way to do it all, but whatever. So he gave her a seashell? Hmm? Well, I mean, if you don't have any memories of that, then yeah. Hmm. So, they really are siblings. Dart just didn't remember. Now then, as for how to approach the boss, I've run the numbers a little bit, and it's kind of a two-stage thing here. The best way to steal from the boss, as far as I can determine, is to use a similar strategy to how I had approached the boss over here with Raven. We move Matthew into his range ever so slightly, and then dance with Ninian. And the reason we only move one into his range is because that leaves Ninian outside of his range. Then... oh, right. I forgot that part. Does Dart's inventory full? It is not, okay. So, need to clear a spot in Matthew's inventory. So then we steal. Grab the guiding ring. Of course, the issue now is that the boss is very much alive still. And I'm pretty sure he would, like, wreck Matthew. 28 attack. I guess he would survive. But anyways, what we're going to do is we are going to rescue Matthew and move him out. So, we stole the guiding ring, and all is well. So now what I want to do is drop Matthew off again, because I might want to use Florina in the coming round, depending on what ends up happening. So now, the way I see it, there are two ways to go about attacking this guy. The first is we can just abuse him from 2 squares away, because he doesn't currently have his hand axe equipped. Or we could position a character right here and draw him out to be a little bit closer to us, and that way he has his hand axe equipped, which will make him a little bit less capable of dealing with direct attacks. So either of those will work. I think I'm going to go for the first strategy, though. So, attack him with a hand axe. That actually weakened him up quite a bit. And just the support with Rebecca, actually, is enough to bring him up to 31% critical chance against this guy. It's kind of ridiculous. So, I could finish him off with Florina. I could do a little bit of damage with Rebecca. Or I could do a little bit of damage with Sarah. What I think I'll do, actually, is do a little bit of damage with Sarah, and then kill him with someone else. It's just the best way to maximize experience. Which, if I'm totally honest, that's a nice level up for her. Some magic and some speed. I'm not especially worried about maximizing experience at this point. While I was taking that little break, I leveled Ninian up to level 20 as well, so I'm very confident that I have enough experience to finish this off. I think I'll give the kill for this to Florina, just because Pegasus Knights is always kind of important to keep them a little bit ahead of the curve, just because they can be really weak if they get behind on level. They're always going to be pretty frail, so you got to keep them nice and current level-wise. And even a promoted unit gets 100 experience from this guy. She's got a surprising amount of strength. But anyways, that was that mission, and assuming by some freak accident I don't get the Gaiden chapter, I managed to pull everything off. But of course, it took a lot of kind of strategery and carefulness and all that. We weren't told who this living legend was, but you suppose you do. Hello. So what was he looking for? And we did indeed get the side quest, so we will accept that. Whoa. Huh? Did he, like, fall into a sinkhole or something? Oh my. So, we will see what that's all about on the next episode of Let's Play Fire Emblem. Catch you later.